Hi, it's Lorraine here with my GoGo Getaway October 2021 group photo class full of ideas. So here I am taking you through what supplies you need for doing this class. This lovely Jen Hadfield Peaceful Heart, really lovely autumnal colours with pops of sort of like a lilac-y purple and that lovely striking navy. So these are all detailed in your instructions. So here you can see I'm taking the top right 4 pieces of those journal cards, and that is actually what I'm using with the template of this lovely light bulb, which is going to be the feature and the concept of your class. So I've just cut that out and using that, lightly draw around with a pencil, just as a guide for cutting out the base of the light bulb. So just a light pencil, just cutting it out. It's a really easy shape to cut out. And this will make this lovely light bulb terrarium. So there we go. Also onto white basil. That's the vellum there, not basil cardstock. So that's going to create that sheer look that you would have, that opaque look for a light bulb. So I'm just going over, so you'll see the pen marks on your template that really give you the definitions to highlight, and as a guide, it's really easy to do. You can absolutely use that to trace onto your design, but equally it's easy to draw just using that as a guide really. So there you can see I've stuck the vellum over that dotted piece of pattern paper. I've actually just put a little bit of glue just on 3 of the polka dots in the middle, which then hides the glue. It doesn't need to be glued all over, and once you've put your lovely floral cluster into this, you're not going to see those marks. So this pen here is just a permanent marker, a fine line marker, and just coming in there to add those twists to the bottom. And then again, it doesn't have to be all exact, it's a lovely relaxed sketchy look. So I'm coming in there, so I put the light bulb aside, so I've got that lovely navy piece there, little navy houses. Use the measurements within your instructions there to create that slant. Just folding over the top, so that lovely pattern side is then shown the facing side. And I folded it over a couple of times and then folded it back, so it's quite creased, quite distressed look, and just sticking that flush down. And you'll see there in a minute that little end on the right is snipped off. But I'm thinking about where this lovely terrarium is going to sit with my group photo. Obviously it's a group photo from our June event. We can't leap forward in time and do one from this event, but you'll be supplied with a lovely photo there from your photos that are taken of your time here. So I'm just folding over, just creasing that, just making it, you know, really quite a rough distressed finish. I don't want it to be an exact fold over or neat. Of course you could tear that edge, you could ink that edge with those lovely inks you've got in the kit. There. So there's my background, really simple background here, just so that the concept of the light bulb can really pop out on this page. So I'm going to create using those lovely oxides and this sort of ochre yellow there. The background, sort of a glow around the light bulb really, because we're full of ideas here at GoGo Getaway. Bright sparks, full of ideas, light bulb moments. So it goes perfectly with this class. So this is just going to create a backdrop and sort of that glow around the bulb of the light bulb. So just using the packaging technique. You see I've used a water pen just to add a little bit of water. Just dabbing that up a little bit with a baby wipe. So most of this of course is going to be hidden under the light bulb, but I wanted to make sure it's, you know, enough to be seen. just concentrating around that light bulb, not further onto the edge. And I'm thinking, actually, do I want to add a little bit of the other colour as well, but that may be splattering on a little bit later just to add a bit more definition. And I'm thinking about how I want to create all these botanicals within that light bulb. So I've got some fussy cut pieces there from that piece that you've cut off the pattern paper. So I've got some of the little yellow flowers that I've cut out there. They're quite fussy to cut, but I only use a couple of these anyway. So if you're really not into fussy cutting, there's plenty of the ephemera die cuts as well that you can use. So don't panic. But I really love the colour. This brought out that packaging technique and that colour, that mustard. Sorry, it's a little bit off camera there with me positioning. So although they're quite intricate, they're really quite a simple shape to be cutting out. I just think that really added to the page. So worth doing. There. So you can see I've placed next to my light bulb the template, and the template has got that sketch. You see in pencil there on the left, the template. Your template has actually got where I've gone over in a black pen, so it'll stand out better. But I'm actually using that to sketch onto, as a guide, just to sketch onto my light bulb. I said previously you can actually use that as with your vellum, underneath your vellum, to before you've stuck it down, to trace exactly. If you're not confident of just winging it and making it your own, you can use it that way. But here you can see I'm just transferring my guide from the template over into the actual light bulb. So I've taken my time doing this. This is really relaxing to think how I want them to be there in that terrarium. And you could of course use the light bulb the other way up if you want, and at the bulb, so the bulb part of it would be at the bottom and be your base of your terrarium, and actually you could then have the flowers bursting up from it. So either will work well on this. But I really loved it this way round. You see I'm just transferring them across, so now I'm going over those pencil lines with a thin permanent black journal pen. So they will create the vines, sort of like to make this a bit of a 3D effect really. This will create the vines in the background for sticking on little flower heads, perhaps some leaves, some stalks, some other things. So I've done that, as you can see. So I've got that base ready, and here I've got the craft envelope just tucked in there to the left, which is going to form backdrop for my photo. Here I am putting some 3D foam on a journal card, and I've cut the centre of that out, which again that's detailed in your instructions for which one, because I actually do use that blossom. Now my envelope is flush, it's stuck down, there's nothing inside it, but you could absolutely use it as a pocket if you leave that open, if you want to put some hidden journaling about your time at the Getaway and the laughs we have with our friends who are on our tables. So there I am, that's the centre from that journal card that I'm just cutting out to use within my terrarium there. Again, this is a little bit fussy to cut out. If you really don't love fussy cutting, there is other elements you could use, but I love the way it brought in the blue with the mustard and that sort of like deep, it's like a dusky lilac really. Really loved the mixture of the colours. So here I'm just playing with how I would like them positioned over the vines, what works best. Some of them I overthink totally, because it wouldn't be a Lorraine class if I didn't faff around with all these little pieces. But I left this in just to show you actually that process of going through, seeing what catches your eye, see what you're happy with, so that you don't need to make an exact replica of mine. You just go through the process and see what colours pop for you, what's going to work with your photo and how you want it to look. So you could have quite a minimalistic terrarium, or you could have, you know, one bursting with all these botanicals. So I left this in just so you can see the process of that and the thinking and the moving around. But I wanted to have sort of like vines coming out of those hand-drawn pieces. Of course, you could also paint in them using the inks if you want to bring more of those ink colours in, or you could just do as I have and used fussy cut pieces and bits I've chopped off die cut ephemera there. So you can see to the right of my layout I've got various pieces that I could use. I don't use them all within that light bulb. Some of them I leave to cluster around other things, but you can just see that I'm not quite happy with the top bit. So I knew I wanted something a little bit smaller up there at the top of those stems. So I've just cut that little leaf section in half. It's worth taking your time on this and building it up. It's the feature of the page. You really want to be happy with it. I mean, if you love this technique and how it works, you could make a terrarium shape of a jar, all sorts of things in the class. You could use it actually instead of on top of vellum, you could use it under an acetate, so it's that glass effect. You could even then create that into a bit of a shaker pocket too, with some like sand looking kind of seed beads, because often you have that sand in the bottom of a terrarium as well, especially if you've got those air plants. So I come in here with a few little sequins, using the navies and blues there, just to bring in the blues, the lighter blue and the navy of the papers. Bit of wet glue so those don't move around. You see, I'm just adding them in the centre of that element that I drew on. That's a really good guide to where you're going to put these things. And of course the black pen mark really does help it to stand out and add some structure to that as well. See, I've got some of these die cuts, which are the ones that are non-coloured, so they are literally that black sketch, which sits well with this class. You can see there my fingers wiggling as I think, I pause and think of what I want to leave afterwards to go either side. But you can really see how long this took me until I really was happy with it. So don't get frustrated if it's the same for you. I've done the overthinking for you already though, if you just want to go straight in and copy that. That's the benefit of a class as well. You don't need to think, you can just literally do as the class, or you can make it your own by going through this process. I'm just snipping some off there from that die cut. So all the pieces that I've used from the ephemera pack, I actually did cut off the excess of white because there was a lot of white around those. Again, that's personal preference. If you're not into fussy cutting, you don't need to do that. Yeah, I like the way that creates a long vine there and brings that orangey peach colour down to the bottom. So you see, I'm starting to be really, really happy with how this is building up now. Seen some of these done as in the real life terrariums, not a scrapbook version, but where they've got some like little critters in the bottom too. So I'm sure there's some critters or two in this ephemera pack, or some other papers you've got left over in the kit when it comes to this time on a Saturday evening that we'll be doing this class. So you could always add a hidden little critter in the bottom there. That'd be cute. Just a little snip so that layers on top and nestles inside. So it's just worth the extra time just to get this exactly how you want it. Make a really cute home decor item as well if you made a giant one of these light bulbs. I mean, this is from the highest point to the bottom 7.5 inches, and the widest across is 5.5 inches. So you could actually blow that up to create one on a whole 12 by 12, and then have the shape, you know, perhaps on like a mount board or thick cardboard, and have it as in a frame or as a hanging element. Would be really cute. So you can see that actually the majority of the time spent on this class is on this light bulb element. But a nice relaxing thing to do at this time of the day. No loads of measuring going on or intricate folding or anything, just simply enjoying building this light bulb up with all the pretty leaves and flowers. The benefit of watching this on YouTube is that if you're getting really frustrated by how long it's taken me to put all these pieces in this light bulb, you can just fast forward, put it on extra speed. They're just layering some more leaves at the bottom, using some to recreate that sort of look of a stem. Always think when watching back how I put things together and chop things about, etc. And quite normally I don't leave so much in, but I really want to take you through the process. But I think it's just thankful I'm not a hairdresser, because I'll be chopping a little bit more away and a little bit more away, something in half and then putting it back. So it's just as well that isn't what I do for a living. But how cute is this going to look? So at the bottom there I felt that they were floating a bit, so I've cut the word blessed, I think it's blessed, not blessed, from one of those journaling cards that I just used underneath. Creates just a nice strip there, nice base, so they're not free floating flowers. So there we go. You can see I've added just brilliant, the title, a lovely exclusive die cut title. I've got the pen underneath. I thought that really fits in well with the Getaway and the creative side of it. I've got those lovely die cut houses on foam pads to the left, just nestled, tucked under each layer of the photo. They look really super cute. I think especially because we were in there. Brilliant. So there we go, guys. So I hope you really enjoyed my class.